And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive. It is Tuesday, December 5th. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer, and we are brought to you by Better. We got a two-game slate ahead of us. These games are not as fun on paper as they were yesterday, in particular that Indiana game, but it's two games nonetheless. We've got Knicks, 5-point dogs in Milwaukee, 229 total. We've got the Suns, 1.5-point dogs in Los Angeles, also a 229 total. This is going to be a disaster. Adam, are you ready?
Yeah, I think this slate's more interesting from a fantasy standpoint than yesterday was.
No disagreement. But with that interest comes me knowing the teams that I'm rostering and the players that I'm rostering. And that part, I'm not excited to sweat this. I am excited to play it. If I could just fast forward to midnight tonight, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt yesterday. I was getting Pritchard, I was getting Nembhard, I was getting Neesmith. It was pretty ugly yesterday, too.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. It just felt, maybe just because the games had 240 totals, it just felt better. I'm looking at the value scores for some of these guys, and it's I have 30% Dante DiVincenzo, and I got him projected for 3.7x salary. I start looking at stuff like that, and it's just,
yeah.
Oh no, what am I doing?
I'm finishing up my most recent run through stuff now, but when I was doing it this afternoon, working on projections and stuff, it was just I was seeing some guys that I'm getting. I'm like, shit, what did I project them for? Oh, 10 fantasy points. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I had no Beauchamp earlier, and I went through and made sure I had every single individual guy that I'm projecting. Because normally, I don't pay attention to what some of the rates end up doing to a guy like Beauchamp if he's playing 12 minutes and it's an 8-game slate. I just don't care. It doesn't matter at that point. Now I have to micromanage it a bit, and I forgot to earlier. And now I have him. And I was like, oh my God, what's causing this? And I looked at his projection. It was 10.5. I was like, nothing.
Yeah, he was one of the ones for me too. I was just because I didn't have him on the show this morning, and then I went through and changed some things and was getting him. And I was just oh, I might be aggressive on his minutes. And I was like, no, I have him at 10 points.
Yep. It's gross. It's so gross. You ready to do this?
Yep.
All right. So first team up to talk about, I would say, is the easiest team to talk about. That is the New York Knicks, 5-point dogs in Milwaukee. Now, by the way, hit that like button. 600 people in here. Let's get up over 100. The Knicks are, at the very least, one of the easier teams in the league to project. Maybe they go to an 8-man rotation and we don't see that coming, but they play 9 dudes and they don't really mess around with anything else after those 9 dudes, and they all get real minutes. That is helpful in this scenario. We've got close to 20% ownership coming into Isaiah Hartenstein, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett. We're around 30 to 40 for Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Julius Randle, and Jalen Brunson, along with 50 for Emmanuel Quickley and Mitchell Robinson. This whole team is owned in a big way. I have everybody in at least 13% of my lineups. You can't really get away from the Knicks.
Yeah, I have 6 of them in at least 13% of my lineups, and I have all of them in at least 5%. Robinson at the top, 55% owned, 44% chance of being optimal, $5,500 center on a slate that does not have much in the way of opportunity cost at center. You have Brook Lopez on the other side of this game, and you have Nurkic for Phoenix. But Anthony Davis, you can roster at power forward now. You've been able to on FanDuel, but now I believe you can on DraftKings as well.
What's the question?
You can on DraftKings now too. I was saying Anthony Davis is a power forward on DraftKings now.
Yeah.
So that lowers the opportunity cost at center. Mitchell Robinson is just going to look really good. He's my highest owned Nick. He's the field's highest owned. Projected for 55% ownership. I have 56%, so I'm right there. And again, it's a good price tag. It's a good enough fantasy producer. The playing time's been there, and it's just really easy to get to him. Quickly, the other guy pulling a ton of ownership here at 49%. I'm not quite as high on him. I have 35%. He's one of several guys where the playing time on this team is certainly volatile. Quickly closes his share of games and gets to 25, 26 minutes. He also doesn't close and gets 19 minutes. I have him at 22 here. I think you could, certainly move a little bit in either direction, but at 22 minutes, I'm still getting 35% just because he is 5,200. He is a pretty good point per minute guy. It's a good enough matchup against Milwaukee. He looks fine. I'm just not getting quite as much as the field. I'm getting the 43% Brunson, Fields at 38%. Brunson, I think you could make a case. So we can talk about this more as we go on. I'm not sure what you did. We haven't talked about it, but for pretty much all of the stars, I ended up going to 38 minutes.
Okay.
And the reason I did that was I went back and looked at yesterday, and the average playing time for like the top two guys on every team was 38 minutes. So I went ahead and did that because originally I had done like 37 minutes for everybody for all the stars and then 38 for Brunson, just because he's averaging more minutes per game than Randall, than Booker, than Durant, than all these guys. And the result was I was getting him as my highest owned player, but it just felt like that was a needlessly aggressive way to approach it. I think going to 38 is kind of just reasonable in all of them. So that's the approach that I took. I'm still getting a little bit over the field on Brunson, getting to 43%. Price tag looks pretty good at 8,500. Josh Hart's pulling 37% ownership. He's been averaging 30 minutes per game over his last 10. He's averaging like 2.5 minutes more per game than RJ Barrett over that span. I went ahead and went to 30 minutes on Hart. I don't know for sure that he's closing. He doesn't have to, but they have pretty clearly been going that direction. We've had Julius Randle talking him up as well. I think it was after their most recent game. Randle was asked, something about what went well or something, and he just kept harping on how things go well when Josh Hart's getting more usage. So it seems like Hart's kind of just asserted himself into that role. So he's actually my second highest owned guy from the Knicks. I'm getting 47% of him, which is a bit over the field. 33% Randall, not too far below the field. And then there's a drop off for me to where I'm getting 13% Grimes, 9% Hartenstein, 7% DiVincenzo, 5% Barrett. All of those guys are getting ownership as well, but I'm not getting as much DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, Barrett, Grimes as the field is.
So here's what I have for minutes, and I'd love for you to just simply say your thoughts. I went 38 to Brunson.
Yep.
I have 37, and like as I'm saying this, I already know some things that I want to change. So it's helping to walk this through. 38 to Brunson, 37 to Giannis, Durant, and Lillard. Here's where it'll change. 36 AD, 36 LeBron, 36 Randall, 36 Booker.
I think they all have to come up. Not all. Like, I think the 36 guys have to come up.
I'm nervous about Booker just because of that ankle injury, too.
He just played 37, though, was my thing.
That's fair. That's fair. I think you're probably right. The only concern for me is that, and I know this is not going to be something that you care as much about. If I go there, I am wildly over projecting like basically all of these guys in the prop market.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know where I land on that mentally.
Yeah. Which I think that's fair. And for me also, like I said,
by the way, I'm getting a ton of all of these guys except for Giannis and Devin Booker right now. I have a shit ton of LeBron, a boatload of Damian Lillard. I've got 30% Brunson. So it's not like blocking me from getting these dudes.
Okay, and so for me, and it's kind of the opposite for me too. Even at 38 minutes, I'm not getting a lot of most of them. So that was
I'm over 10% to all of them except for Giannis and Booker, and I have basically 9 for both of those guys, and those are the 2 lowest owned dudes, and I would argue the 2 hardest guys to get to.
Right. I'm getting to the Lakers guys. I'm getting a ton of LeBron, a ton of Davis. I'm not getting much of the Phoenix guys. I'm not getting much of Dame or Giannis. I am getting Brunson. I'm getting some Randall. I did only go 37 minutes on Randall because he's just been playing through injury all year long and playing less than Brunson on the same team. But that was also sort of like, I think you're kind of splitting hairs here. But that was part of the reason that I ended up just being more aggressive on the minutes was if I went 38 Brunson and then 37 like across the board, I was just jamming Brunson over pretty much all of them. And I was like, okay, I'm not trying to like take a stand based on the number of minutes. Like if I choose 38 or 37 minutes here.
Sure. I think the one guy that I'm going to bump 1 minute is AD. I'm under the field on him, and he has been playing more minutes this year. And basically, like, he's kind of like a minute ahead of LeBron all the time anyway. And I think that's the one that I'm probably missing the most. But yeah, like I have 30% Brunson. I have 20% KD. I have 40% Dame. I have 57 LeBron. I have 23 of Randall. So if I make those changes, I don't know if they really make that much of a difference because I'm already in the range.
Right. And also one other thing, sort of like I was saying that the main pieces yesterday averaged 38. 2 guys played 40 minutes yesterday. My other thinking is just like, yeah, you can dig into Brunson plays 37 minutes per game normally. Randall plays 36. Dame plays 36. Giannis plays 36. I think realistically, which one, there's probably going to be one or two of these guys that play 40 minutes tonight. Yeah. Which one it is just
random.
So
it's the context of the game too.
Right.
Like
right.
That will change some things as well for one of these guys to just get that arbitrary bump.
Right. So that's kind of where I viewed it, where my goal was essentially to treat these guys as much the same as I could, while also making sure that I am factoring in that these games matter. And it's probably, unless there's a blowout, foul trouble, whatever, you're probably not getting like a 34-minute LeBron game or a 35-minute LeBron game.
Right. So just to summarize the Knicks, I have everybody. I've got 30% of DiVincenzo, Brunson, Grimes, and Barrett, with Randall being in the 20s. Mitchell Robinson is my most exposed guy at 49, but I have 18 of Hart, 13 of Hartenstein. I just have all of the Knicks. And I feel pretty comfortable with that. Like, if this game is just like they both have the same total, assuming this game is just as competitive as any other basketball game, like these guys are going to play the 240 minutes that we get today. And that makes me feel a lot better than guessing on the 5 wings for Phoenix or the 4 bigs for the Lakers.
Yeah, agreed. The only spot, like I said, we're different on so if you sort the Knicks by ownership on DraftKings, the bottom 4 guys, I'm not getting as much as the field. And I think the reason for that is just that they're still getting ownership. 31% to DiVincenzo, 20% apiece to Grimes, Hartenstein, Barrett. When I'm already playing a good amount of Robinson, Quickly, Brunson, Hart, Randall at those ownership numbers, and then clearly you're going to have high ownership numbers that I'm playing on other teams too, I did start just sort of losing the guys that are fine, but they're not the best point per dollar values. They're not the best projected guys.
Yeah,
I'm okay. It doesn't feel great. Like RJ Barrett obviously can still have a good game. Hartenstein is Robinson fouling Giannis away from being a great play. But I had trouble getting to those guys at the bottom. And I think another thing too, DiVincenzo 4,400, Hartenstein 4,300. This slate's a little bit different than yesterday. The value still sucks, just like you did yesterday. But yesterday, you didn't even really have sub 4K guys that you could get to unless you were going to roll the dice on Isaiah Jackson or Cornette or whoever, or McConnell. Those guys didn't really exist. So on this slate, I do think that I'm prioritizing the cheapest guys that I can functionally get to, because we have DiVincenzo projected for 15.5 DraftKings points at 4,400. That absolutely sucks from a point per dollar standpoint. Hartenstein, yes, he has a ceiling if Robinson were to get in foul trouble, but we have him projected for 16 to 17 DraftKings points at 4,300. So in my builds, I'm typically just saying, okay, screw those guys. Let's just go down to the cheapest guys I can get to. They're also not going to project well. They also look bad, but at least it lets me improve something elsewhere.
It's all a very interesting game tonight. Brandon Wagner hit us with the super chat. Not going to really love this answer, but thoughts on 100% Brunson in the $4.20 max on DraftKings?
I think it's perfect.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't.
You could have also said 0 in that question, and I have the exact same answer.
I think it depends how you got there. If you went through like a full process and you have 100% Brunson, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't be going in saying I'm going to play 100% Brunson. Like, I think you should do what you normally do, and if you have it, great.
Although I will say I don't even think that's much of an issue, depending on what your process is for building it, like going in with it. I heard, I can't remember who I heard talking about it, but I know that I've sort of like reiterated the same point on here. It might have been Brick. Like if you are going to go to a game, or like if you're just a Knicks fan and you just want to pick a couple guys that are like the guys that you want your core to be, you can now just, if you're using sim tools, you can now just get the best possible lineups with those dudes now, and not like hamstring yourself into bad lineups. Right. That's where it starts to get tricky. Like if you just want 100% Brunson because like that's what you like, you can get the 20 best Brunson lineups and put them into that, and like you're not really impacting yourself.
Right, but I still wouldn't recommend your approach being like a top-down approach where you decide who you're going to jam in and then figure out the rest. Like when I
depends how you're playing though too. Like if you want to just cheer for the things you like the most every day, like I don't think it's going to negatively impact you as much as it used to if you're using the highest 10 tools.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I was thinking about it in terms of like the lineup generator, for example, if you were playing 20 lineups. If You go through and you find 20 lineups, you look at them and you're just like, I like this lineup, I like this lineup. You choose those 20, and then you go, oh wow, these all had Jalen Brunson. I wouldn't change anything. Jalen Brunson, I think, is one of the better plays on the slate.
Agreed.
I also wouldn't be using the lock button before I even looked at a lineup.
Also agree. Anything else for the Knicks?
No.
Alrighty, folks. Schedule for the rest of the day is very easy. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. They will take you from 6:30 all the way up until the tip-off of Knicks and Bucks. And then the only other thing that I need you to do right now, other than hit the like button, is to head to stokastic.com/avatar, grab our logo, and load it up on DraftKings or FanDuel, Owner's Box, Yahoo, wherever you play, so that you can give yourself the opportunity of winning a month of whatever you want at Stokastic, up to a $200 value. You can get the Sims package for a month if that's what you want. All you have to do is finish in the top 3 of a contest that has 5,000 or more entries, and then tweet that win. Tweet that screenshot with the logo and your performance. Tweet it to @StokasticHOF. We want to promote you. It helps to promote us. It doesn't cost you a single cent to load up that icon. You don't have to have a package with us now, but it could lead you to being subscribed at Stokastic, getting projections and ownership and boom bust and premium Discord, Sims tool, all of that good stuff. You get to see what it is, and all you have to do is rep our badge. Easy stuff. You ready to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks?
I don't have 50% Beasley anymore, so I'm happier than this morning.
Neither do I. I do have it of Beauchamp, though.
Yep.
Andre Jackson, by the way, available to play. I don't know if that's worth taking anything from, but it is a true statement.
It does actually matter, I think. Just like you and I talked about it this morning, I think we both ended up handling this the same way. We gave like 10 or 12 minutes, whatever it was, to AJ Green, Andre Jackson as like one person.
Yes.
If Jackson had been out, I would have just given AJ Green like 10 minutes.
I wouldn't have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to happen in any way, shape, or form. Let's start at the top end here for Milwaukee, because they look a little bit different than the Knicks do. 15% ownership to Lopez, Payne, and Lillard. 20 to Portis, 30 to Beasley, and in the 40s for Middleton and Beauchamp. Giannis is projected for 6. Dame is projected for 17. And I'm just letting you know right now, I have 45% Dame. This is a stand I'm taking at 9,300. Not entirely sure why, but I'm certainly not mad about it.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had it. I have 13 right now, so I'm closer to the field there. I have 4% Giannis, so I am having trouble getting to him.
Yeah.
11-4 on DraftKings, 12-2 on FanDuel. By all means, if you can get to Giannis, great. But I mean, I'm already playing, I guess we kind of buried the lead here. I already have 53% Beauchamp.
Yep.
I'm not in a hurry to get more, but
Nope.
I have 53% and I'm still just not getting to Giannis. It's just easier for me to get to Anthony Davis and LeBron, which is the case for the field too. And it's why Giannis is so low owned and why he's somewhat interesting from that standpoint. But it's just tough. I mean, the matchup against the Knicks sucks. Slow team, very good defensive team. Giannis clearly can get it done against anybody, but 1.6 DraftKings points per minute in his games with Lillard this year. So I'm having difficulty really getting to him, even though he's not popular and I would like to get there. Dame, I think kind of the same thing for me. 20% ownership. I'm getting 13%, like I said. Wouldn't be upset if I had a little bit more, but also when you look at the point guard position, Brunson is cheaper and just easier to get to when value's as bad as it is today. That $1,000 or so matters. So I'm just having trouble getting to Dame that much as well, just a little bit below the field.
I just actually did a rerun where I gave that bump of a minute to AD. I'm down to 28% Dame and a real amount of AD now, but the rest of this is where it starts to get pretty ugly. Do you want to just have the Marshawn Beauchamp conversation right now? I have him projected for 10.5 fantasy points, and I have 57% of him, if you want to know how much today sucks.
Yep, that's where I'm at. 10.8 DraftKings points, and I have, 53%. And it's really just, he's shooting guard, small forward eligible, so you can roster him at pretty much anywhere in any type of lineup that you're going to. You can throw him in and just hope that the other guys win for you. Like, yeah. Beauchamp is not winning you a tournament tonight, but he is opening the door for you to get to the other players that you want. And the thing about this slate, and I kind of alluded to it a minute ago, the $4,000 to $5,000 range isn't very good. So, if you want to play, like the field is playing more DiVincenzo, more Hartenstein and those guys. If you want to do that, fine. But I prefer just having as many lineups as I can where I'm kind of just saying screw it and completely punting that value spot with the cheapest guys I can find. And it's allowing me to get more of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Jalen Brunson, the guys, the really good players that I'm getting to right now. If you could certainly say, okay, well, I'll cut back on some Davis and some LeBron. I'll play more Durant, more Booker, however you wanted to handle it. My point is I'm getting to those top end guys at a higher rate than the field. And that's an approach that I like on this slate because that 4 to 5K range isn't very good. And by the way, the 5 to 6K range also isn't very good. So it becomes very, somebody had mentioned it in chat earlier that tonight's slate has more stars on it, which it does. And that makes that 5, 6, 7K range even weaker because there's not really, none of these teams really have like good secondary players for the most part. You have clear 1 and 2, and then you just have a bunch of guys that are out there and with a few exceptions. And so I think that's why Beauchamp and we'll get to Jared Vanderbilt at that same price point are just showing up as clear priorities for me. It's the rest of my lineup looks better when I go all the way down to that price range than when I allocate exposures to the DiVincenzo type guys.
I want to hit this super chat quickly so he doesn't think we're waiting on it. Tim L., what do you think about Grimes averaging 34 minutes the last 3 games these two teams met dating back to November 30th of last year? Coincidence? Yes. Ignore that. Don't pay attention to it. That's bad information. Don't chase game logs. One of those games had no RJ Barrett. The other one had no Dante DiVincenzo, no... who am I missing here? Cam Reddish was still on that team. Obi Toppin was still on that team. Derrick Rose was still on that team. We're talking about a different basketball team. That information should not matter to you. But RJ Barrett didn't play the last one, so that certainly is going to be another checkbox of allocating 30 minutes of RJ Barrett to somebody. What are we doing with Chris Middleton? And for me, it's unfortunately playing a lot of him.
Yeah, I have 32% right now, so I'm actually a little under the field, but still have plenty. Shooting guard, small forward, 6K. I went to 26 minutes on him. You and I had talked about it this morning. I think there's a pretty good chance that you get him really pushing that minutes limit today. We saw 27 minutes in regulation 2 games ago. He followed it up with 25. 26 felt like a good spot to get to projection-wise, just because, sure, maybe he goes and plays 32 and he should have just been in every lineup, but you can't really expect that. 26 does give you some wiggle room for the 28, 29 minute games that he could play here. I think he looks fine at this price. I think he looks better on FanDuel than DraftKings, but he looks good on either site. And the reason, again, is that most guys in this range don't look good. Like Chris Middleton is $300 more than Malik Beasley. Now, I'm not saying Malik Beasley is a bad play either. He's playing huge minutes, but in terms of producing fantasy points on a per minute basis, Chris Middleton and Malik Beasley are just wildly different people. So, and Beasley's one of the better plays in that range. So you're just going to kind of land there, I think, especially with the shooting guard, small forward eligibility opening things up. So I'm still getting him in like a third of my lineups.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting him in 2/3. You have 32. I have 64. Look, if I'm going to go down with the ship tonight, at least it's with my boy Chris Middleton, which I would deserve. But I also hope that it can be my boy Chris Middleton and he then plays 32 minutes. What he's going to do is play 32 minutes and suck.
Right.
That I feel very, very comfortable with.
Do you have more Josh Hart or Chris Middleton?
Way more Chris Middleton.
Okay. I have Hart.
I have 15% Hart.
Okay. I have 47.
Yeah. How are you handling Portis and Lopez right now? 2 guys that I'm basically doubling the field on.
I would like to be getting more of either of them, particularly Portis. I have 25% Lopez. He's my 3rd highest owned guy from the Bucks. So I am actually a bit over the field on him, which is nice. 6,400, again, one of the only actual center-only guys on this slate. Should play big minutes. I went to 34. You could make a case that that's a little aggressive probably, but it makes all the sense in the world for him to be out there as much as he can.
I agree.
Just, again, he's in this price range where there's not a lot of good plays, so he kind of just shows up. Bobby Portis to me is really interesting. I'm only getting 6%. I do wish I was getting more. He's projected for 22% ownership. I think maybe that's why I'm not getting more. I went to 24 minutes on him. This strikes me as a spot where Portis does play more than usual. Yep. Now, if you look at like his last 10 games, he's averaging 25, 26 minutes, but that's a bit misleading. You had the overtime game recently where he played 32. but it does strike me as a game where he's going to play a bit more than like 22 minutes, I think is where he's normally projected. So I went to 24. If you wanted to go 25 or so, I think you could. I do wish I was getting more of him at 5,600, but I'm having trouble getting there. Even
I
at
think
24.
he's like aggressively live for like all of the fake AJ Green, Andre Jackson minutes that like we don't really want to project to people. And Portis ends up playing like 28 or 29 and they just like really consolidate.
Yeah, I actually that's one of the things that I still haven't decided what exactly I'm gonna do. I was really tempted when I projected the Bucks. I ended up going, I think 12. Whatever I ended up going on AJ Green and Jackson was like 2 minutes higher than I really wanted to give them.
Yeah.
I ended up going to 10. I
Okay.
really wanted to go to like 8.
You
And
have you're going more extreme than me already. I have more than that.
okay, well, I wanted to go. I'm tempted to go 26 minutes to Portis, especially because I see that I'm not getting him. But that also
Yeah.
just feels like a kind of aggressive projection.
Yeah, like if I take those minutes away and start giving them out, I'm already over on every single player on this team except for campaign. So I like that's just not going to create. Well, and I'm a little under on Beasley, but I still have 22%. Unless I just want to give campaign an extra minute, like all I'm going to do is create a scenario where I have just jammed the Bucks.
Right.
So like I'm already over on Beauchamp. I'm heavy on Middleton. I'm over on Giannis. I'm over on Lillard. I'm over on Lopez. I'm over on Portis. So I'm just going to let those guys have 14 minutes. Anything you're not getting to extremely here for Milwaukee?
Relative to the field,
Yeah.
Portis is the guy right now. But again, I'm probably gonna end up getting a little bit more of him. I think I'm gonna end up changing that a little, maybe even by just like a minute. But no, I mean I'm getting 2% campaign. The field's at 10. I gave him 16 minutes. He's 4,100. He's another one where, yeah, he's 10% owned. But I'm probably just gonna play a cheaper guy in most lineups where I'd be playing him.
Yeah, I only have 4% of him. He's the first guy in this game, Knicks side or Milwaukee side, that I have projected like a starter and don't have 10% of.
You projected campaign like a starter?
No, not a starter, like a rotation piece. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Like a legitimate rotation piece. Like I have the entire 9 Knicks dudes more than 10%. I have the entire Bucks team more than 10% except for Payne. I have very little exposure to Phoenix and LA except for some very specific spots. So
yeah, I have a lot.
I've got way too. I can give you the numbers. I have 267% Knicks, 253 Bucks, 223 Lakers, which is basically just Jared Vanderbilt and LeBron, and 56% of the Phoenix Suns. Yuck. And it's because every one of these teams has like 4 dudes on the bench you could play, and the Suns are just like, I don't know which one I'm getting.
Right.
Anything else we need to touch on here for Milwaukee?
So I have like 248% combined exposure to the Knicks. I only have 153 to the Bucks right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're very different there. You have 100 less than me, which I assume you are allocating to the Phoenix Suns, and I'm not.
And Anthony Davis.
Sure. I have 30% AD now.
Yeah, I have more.
I have 64% Braun.
I have 55 and 50.
Okay. It's going to be a fun night. All right. Nothing else here for Milwaukee that I can tell. So we got to talk a little bit about better. And this is simple. This is the easiest read that I could possibly do. They will match your deposit up to $500. You guys should just stop right away, click the link in the description or chat or whatever, and try to attack this if you can. There's no reason to let this sort of bonus cash just not end up in your pocket. You have the opportunity to get a lot of it. And these opportunities don't come around a lot. You want to take advantage as much as you can. It's a standard pick'em site. You can go up to 100x your entry if you get 8 picks correct. They've got NFL, NBA, baseball, NHL, and more. But I need you guys to focus on that deposit bonus. That should be the most appealing thing for you. You can get some plays from Odd Shopper if you want to subscribe to Odd Shopper. Hop in the Discord that we have. Get some premium plays as well. I put out a prize picks video, but that video is universal. I'm taking points, rebounds, and assist plays in that video. You can do that at better. And you could also start with up to $500 of a deposit match bonus. So click the link in chat or in the description. It's a no-brainer, guys. Up to $500. All right. Phoenix Suns, 1.5 point dogs in LA. 229 total, same total. Not a lot of ownership here coming into the Suns. 38% to Yusuf Nurkic, close to 30 for Grayson Allen, 20 for Kevin Durant, and then 10 apiece for Booker, Eubanks, and Gordon. We are still waiting on injury news here, which honestly has a massive impact on what you do with Phoenix. Eric Gordon is questionable, and that will really change this entire slate, especially if we get it somehow before 7:30. But I want to start here. What are your thoughts right now on a $9,900 Kevin Durant power forward only and a 10-1 Devin Booker who's only 10% owned? Are you finding yourself getting to either one of these guys?
I wish I was getting more, but I'm not. I'm just getting so much of the Lakers guys. Right now I'm getting to 7% Booker, 6% Durant. So I'm not even getting to the field on them, which again I hate, but is what it is. Like I have them both at 38 minutes. If you're getting to them, great, but I'm just having trouble. We have Booker. We have them both going a little bit under owned. Durant 20% optimal, 17% ownership. Booker 17% optimal, 13% ownership. But it's just that the Lakers guys look like such a priority to me that I'm not getting much of either of them.
Yeah, I had so much more Durant earlier today, and
Yeah,
now
so
after like working my way through all the minutes, he's come down a bit. So I'm neutral to Durant, and I only have 6% Booker. None of that feels good.
Yeah, well, and yeah, this morning we had Durant projected like 4 points higher than Booker. He's now the same.
I got it at 50 and 49.5, so I might as well have it the same.
Yeah, I have them both between 49.5 and 50.
Your boy Poker Pro Eric doesn't think that the entire slate changes if Gordon is out.
I mean, okay.
Can you imagine? Like, just not understanding how any of this works? I can't. 30 something minutes reallocated to all of these value plays that we can't like happily get to yet. And we're playing 60% Marshawn Beauchamp instead. Yeah, it's going to change everything. Who starts with Beal out? Everybody. He's been out the entire season. Dude played like 2 games. How are you handling Nurk? 6,900 center only, 38% owned. He feels like this easiest guy to get away from. Not that I want to or anything, but you're not getting away from him.
I have 51%, or yeah, 51%. I'm getting a lot. Again, center is just pretty easy to get to today. He's one of the highest upside guys in this price range. He's just gonna fall into a lot of lineups for me, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Have him in for 30 minutes. He certainly could play more. Yeah, like the price tag, like the production he offers, like the position. I'm getting a lot of him.
Yeah, I only have 18%. I think I'm just running out of centers. Which center don't you have?
I have them all.
Okay.
I always have them all.
That's true. I forget. He's the only one I'm like really under on.
Yeah, I think
I'm blocking him with Jared Vanderbilt.
I mean, I'm sure I'm using him at forward a lot. Yeah, I think I'm over on all the centers.
I think I am too, basically. Finally, joining you on that.
Except for Nurk. You're not over on Nurk.
Yeah, except for Nurk. Yeah. Do we want to talk Grayson Allen, who's 27% owned? I
don't want to, but he's my highest owned guy on the slate right now.
I have 1%.
I have 56.
Oh my god, dude! This is such a ridiculous. This is a crazy slate.
What'd you say?
This is a crazy slate.
Yeah, and like I think there's so many ways you can approach it. I'm not happy having 56% Grayson Allen, but I also completely get why I do. He's 26% owned, so he's lower owned than like all of the next guys that are in this price range. He's lower owned than Malik Beasley in this price range. Still has shooting guard small forward eligibility. He's 5,400. He's been playing big minutes, and I don't think that's going to change with or without Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon only missed the 1 game. I have Grayson Allen at 34 minutes. I am getting a lot of him because of the positions and the price tag being reasonable. It's, Grayson Allen's not a great fantasy option, but he's just playing big minutes at a really, really good position. How many minutes do you have in that?
33.
Okay. Yeah, so we're on the same page.
Yeah. And then I don't have Gordon if he's in at 5,900. I mean, I have 4%, but that's a tough price tag.
Yeah, it is. I went 32 minutes if he's in. He only missed the 1 game. I got 15%, so a little bit over the field, but not too crazy.
I'm not getting to Eubanks, who's pulling some ownership.
It's another center I'm over on.
How
Oh,
much do
so
you
I'm
have?
not getting Hartenstein. That's the center that I'm not getting.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, dude, there's got to be one of them.
Yeah, I forgot about Hartenstein. I don't have Hartenstein. But
Okay,
this is perfect to me. We have 8% ownership projected to Eubanks. We had 20% to Hartenstein. I'm playing like, I don't remember, 10, 12, something like that percent Hartenstein. I'm playing 22% Eubanks. So I kind of just flipped them. They're basically the same play at different ownerships.
yeah, I have 7. I'm neutral to the field on Hartenstein. Poker Pro Eric watches ball though, so he knows why there's no value created by losing Eric Gordon. Can you imagine? Like, we have the access to like all of the pros data after this. The Phoenix Suns ownership to all of these value dudes is going to be so much higher if you just evaluate that later, and to just think like this is dumb. I can't believe it. Do we want to talk through the scenarios of Eric Gordon? Let's say Eric Gordon is out. We've got $4,300 Josh Okogie. We've got $4,100 Keita Bates-Diop. We've got $3,700 Nas Little, $3,400 Yuta Watanabe, and I'm probably whatever the price Jordan Goodwin is, because he's going to go from what I think is not in the rotation to in the rotation. Who do you think stands out the most if we lose Gordon?
Okogie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Started
steps into the starting lineup. Yeah.
Started last game, played 26 minutes. He's still not expensive. He's 4,300. He's a small forward, which is obviously really nice. Yeah, so like with Gordon projected in, I have 3% Okogie. The field's at 2%. I gave him, I think, 20 minutes off the bench, maybe 19, something like that.
I'm lower than that.
If he starts, that becomes a very obvious value.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any really good value plays. The moment you can reallocate 32 minutes to a bunch of low price value dudes is massive for what we're trying to do here.
What was your guess at, so if Gordon's in, what was your guess at what Phoenix's bench rotation looks like?
I don't have a good one. I went 10 dudes. I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't know who to cut.
Yeah, I cut Watanabe, but I'm not confident in it. Well, I cut Gordon and I cut Watanabe, but I'm much less confident in the Watanabe part. It's another situation where if I were getting tons of any of these guys, I'd probably dial it back a little bit. I'm getting the 18% Nas Little. I only gave him 15 minutes. I personally really like that play.
Yeah.
He's projected for 4% ownership. He's 3,700. So he's in that same price range as Beauchamp. And I just really like the volatility you get with Little, because I think there's a decent chance he's just getting slept on by the industry, because he was hurt for a lot of the season. So you didn't really see what his role was when this team was healthy. Then he's come back and Phoenix has just predominantly been banged up. But the skill set that he offers is very, very useful for this team. It was a good signing when they made it in the offseason. It was a very obvious fit. So I just think, and obviously could be wrong, we haven't seen this really play out, but I just think he's kind of safe in the rotation as far as playing. And even at 15 minutes at that ownership, I'm getting to like 18%. I think he's live to play more. You know, he played 15 last game, but we've already seen games where he plays more than that. So he's one that I'd like getting to. You know, again, if I were getting like 40 earlier today, I was getting like 40%. If I were still getting that, I'd probably walk the playing time back a little bit. But at 15 minutes, I'm getting over the field, but not enough that it's going to wreck my night if he sucks. I like him as a contrarian play here. He's just a little bit cheaper than Bates-Diop. He's a little bit cheaper than Okogie. I think they're all very, very similar.
I got 5% of Little. I don't really have these other guys. I wish that I had, 5 to 10% of all of them instead of 70% Jared Vanderbilt right now, but that's something that maybe I'll deal with a little bit after this. Does how much more likely are you to get to anybody else though if we lose Gordon? I assume we end up with shares of all of these guys if we lose Gordon.
Like I said, assuming Okogie starts, he's going to look good, but the playing time just becomes a little bit safer, because right now you're guessing how many guys Phoenix plays and then what order do they play those guys, because we've seen Jordan Goodwin in the rotation lately. You and I are on the same page. I don't think he's part of the rotation if Eric Gordon's in. Eric Gordon is the backup point guard behind Devin Booker, or at least has been. Obviously things can change. We saw it with McConnell yesterday, but there's no real reason to think that's changing. The wing guys, Bates Diop, Little, Akoji, Watanabe, all are needed much more than Goodwin is.
Yeah.
Watanabe is my guess at who plays the least of those guys, but you could easily just get a 10-man rotation. If Gordon is out, then I think it's likely you are getting a 10-man rotation, and it obviously wouldn't have Eric Gordon, so you would have Watanabe and Goodwin both in, and it would just open the door to be taking shots at all of those guys.
Any chance you think we get that information early?
Probably not. In the last game where Gordon was out, Goodwin basically took that backup role where he just mostly was playing the non-Booker minutes. He played a few minutes alongside Booker as well. But he was the first guy off the bench subbing in for Booker, and then they staggered Booker and Durant's minutes. He ended up playing 19 minutes. Bates Diop played 18. Watanabe played 15. Little played 15. So again, I think you could just confidently project 15 to 20 for Bates Diop, Little, Watanabe, Goodwin.
Yeah. Anything else for Phoenix? This is my biggest fade of the day.
Nope.
Go Lakers, apparently. Apparently. Like I want it. Final thing that I want to touch on before we close this one out is Odds Shopper. We don't talk about it enough on this DFS side, but this product has been greatly improved and the price point has come down for you guys. You can get in for $14.95 a week and take a market-based approach to beating the books. We're sourcing lines from everywhere, and we are giving you the goods after we do so. Shop around very easily. Click into whatever book you're looking for sides and totals and player props. This also works on the Pick'em site side, so Prize Picks and Underdog. $14.95 gets you in the door. Get expected value for all of the plays that are shown on Odd Shopper, expected win rates as well. We've got parlay builders and calculators, things like that. You can pop into our Discord, get the expert picks. I've been mentioning it a lot, but you can get Ben Raz out there giving you wild sports that you've never probably heard of. If anybody's ever going to put money down on a highlight tournament somewhere in Asia, it's going to be him. If you want those kind of plays, go hit up Ben. But honestly, sign up at OddsShopper, guys. It's a great time to do so. We're getting more and more legal betting states on a daily basis, not a daily basis, on a yearly basis, I guess is probably the best one, including the great state of North Carolina, which is coming soon. And then you're going to get all sorts of betting content from me, all of the good picks. Or you can just follow Greg on Twitter and check out his thread that he posts for OddsShopper, where he is showing you thousands of bets in 2023 and thousands and thousands of dollars in profit from just using OddsShopper. It doesn't take much, guys. The plays are there for you. All right. Los Angeles Lakers.
Just because we have a minute to follow up on, Sean V said it most recently. I've seen it a couple times that Mitchell Robinson isn't a good play because he's going to be on the perimeter with Brook Lopez. The Bucks have a dude that scores at the rim a lot named Giannis that Robinson will be in the paint defending. But also 4 games against Lopez and Giannis over the last 2 seasons, 0.91 DraftKings points per minute in 30 minutes per game for Robinson. On average over the last 2 seasons, 0.94 DraftKings points per minute in 28 minutes per game. He has been exactly average in this spot.
Yes. As expected. Lakers side. 25% ownership to Taurean Prince, around 30 for AD, Jared Vanderbilt, and LeBron, and 43 to D'Angelo Russell. Assorted ownership to the rest of these guys. Start with LeBron and AD. I've got 64% LeBron, 32% AD. They both look really good, and I'm really not getting to Phoenix, so got to find some stars to pay for, and I'm paying for these guys.
Yep, same here. 55% LeBron, 50% Davis. Davis getting power forward eligibility on DraftKings is huge. Cuts down on the opportunity cost, just makes it so much easier to roster him. So I'm getting a ton of both of them. Happy with that. The ownership isn't crazy here either. 30% coming into Davis. We have him with a 30% chance of being optimal. 27% coming into LeBron. 33% chance of being optimal. So not really surprising to me that these are the two that are really standing out that I'm getting to.
We want to do this?
Nope.
$3,500 power forward center Jared Vanderbilt, who made his illustrious return after injury 3 days ago, played 13.7 minutes. That was all I needed to see to project him for 14 minutes and get him in 70% of my lineups right now. I don't want this to continue. I want Eric Gordon to go out so I don't have to play 70% Jared Vanderbilt. How much do you have?
50. 49.
That's okay. That's better.
Yeah, I mean I don't mind. I don't want it, but I don't mind it. It's kind of like Beauchamp to me, where he's just really, really cheap. He fits easily into lineups. Now, there is more of a question mark around what the Lakers bench rotation is going to look like than there is around what the Bucks bench rotation is going to look like. My assumption is that Vanderbilt is firmly in this rotation. He is a actual
I'm just
NBA
realizing now he's about to be the Nimhard.
I said that to you earlier.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention.
I think he's actually in this rotation long term. He makes sense to be. I gave him 14 or 15 minutes, and that's all it took for him to be in like half my lineups. He obviously could play more, but even in that, I have him at like 11 and a half to 12 DraftKings points. He's showing up a lot. We have him at 27% ownership, 37% chance of being optimal. It's just the price tag and the power forward eligibility. To me, he's similar to Nas Little in that the way I view the Lakers, he's a key, like a big piece of their rotation going forward. So I feel confident. I mean, it's certainly possible that it's proven I shouldn't be confident, but he's not one of the guys that I think could get kicked out. Like Christian Wood could get kicked out. Max Christie could get kicked out. I think Vanderbilt's just getting his minutes.
I feel like he should be. I don't have any confidence. Rui Hachimura being back is a giant question mark for all of this too, and I don't know what to do with him. He is unowned, as is Max Christie. I don't know what to do with that kind of information.
Yeah.
Feels like unowned Rui is like a thing.
I have 3% Rui and 5% Christie.
Okay.
And I didn't go too crazy on it. I went 18 minutes to Rui. I went, I think, 20 to Christie. I didn't project Christian Wood for minutes. Christian Wood could certainly get like 12 minutes, and Christie and Rui play less than I expected. Prince plays less than I expected, and they all just kind of look bad. But
yeah,
I don't mind it. Like it's another spot where if I were getting a bunch of Rui, I would not want that because I'm not confident at all in his playing time. But I don't mind the idea of just, having a handful of Rui lineups in case he does just suddenly play 20 something minutes.
I hate every bit of this. The Rui piece is really the interesting one. We're talking with Rui, and I don't know how ready he is for it. We're talking about a guy that was playing real minutes. If we were projecting Rui like he had been playing, he is pretty highly owned today.
Oh yeah, if you give him like 26 minutes, but that was also without Vanderbilt.
Sure.
And the other thing with Rui that I have no idea what to make of it is he was available on Saturday, and then the Lakers held him out to get him to give him one more game off with his nasal fracture.
Yeah.
So if it were a lower body injury, I would be really concerned about that.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not, I still don't want to be too aggressive in projecting his minutes, but I kind of assume that he's playing at least something functional here.
Yeah. Anything you're not getting here? What are you doing with Taurean Prince, Austin Reeves? They're both around 20% ownership.
Yeah, I'm not getting as much of them. I have 15% Prince, 9% Reeves.
Yeah.
11% Reddish.
Okay.
Russell's getting 42% ownership. I'm not there. I have 24.
I have 35.
How many minutes?
17 Prince.
How many minutes did you give Russell?
29.
Same here.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I have 0 Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm only getting there because it's a 2-game slate and he's shooting guard, small forward. But
yeah,
he's one of those guys where I'm looking at him sort of like, I think I get why I'm getting more Josh Hart than the field, why I'm getting, more of some of these other guys than the field, like Grayson Allen, where Similar ownership for a $5,400 Grayson Allen or a $6,300 Reeves. I'm just getting the value on Allen.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with Christian Wood because like he's 3,900 too. If he just plays 12 minutes, he's playable.
Yep. He sure is. It's so tricky. Like I expect in my mind, I expect the Lakers to run a 9-man rotation. I am projecting 10 and I don't know because I don't know what else to do.
Right.
I feel like I can't just take Christian Wood out.
I projected 9, but I think I'm gonna end up taking a few minutes away from Christie, taking a couple away from Rui. If you go 16 on Rui,
that's what I have.
Cut Christie to 16.
I have 18.
Cut Prince to like 28.
He's the real one that I think is just like live to lose some minutes.
Play like 3 quarters and not come back.
Yep.
And you get like the 22 minutes from him.
And then like everybody is just playing like 12 to 14 as those bench guys.
How many minutes did you go on Reeves?
26.
Okay, I was at 27, but I wanted to go to 26. So like now I guess I could get some minutes for Christian Wood, which is better than 0, I think. Yeah, like I could go to 9 now.
I have him for 10 right now. I don't have any. Oh. I don't. It's really tricky. We're going to learn a lot about the Lakers tonight, I think.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to cut Prince to like 26 minutes.
Yeah, I don't. They have so many dudes that are the same dude.
And then I can give Christian Wood 11. Like, I don't mind, given the uncertainty here, and also I feel like Ham's going to run a deep rotation is the thing.
I think that's also possible. But like one of these coaches is just going to like not play it the way that we think they're going to play it.
Like if this were Tibbs,
deep rotation.
If this were Tibbs, you would just be saying like, okay, we know that they're playing 9 guys. Which 2 aren't going to play?
Yeah,
I think Darvin Ham might just play everybody.
Yeah. We also have to be live for the thought process that like AD and LeBron both play 40 and someone really isn't around and like all these guys get less.
Right. I'm just looking at it too with like, is there really a difference in terms of playing time given that Rui is back and Vanderbilt's back and we haven't seen how this is going to look? Austin Reeves, Cam Reddish, Taurean Prince, like I don't know that any of them have a substantial advantage in terms of playing time. I would think Austin Reeves does, but that hasn't really been the case lately. Like Prince has been playing more than him. So I don't know. I think I'm probably going to end up going 26 to all 3.
Okay. I hate every bit of this second game. The indecision is just horrid.
I think I kind of like where I'm at now.
I'm okay with where I'm at, but
I haven't seen how my exposure changed. So,
Jacob, if you're going to be surprised that LeBron doesn't play at least 40, be prepared to be surprised.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he did play 40. That would count more of a surprise.
2 players yesterday got the 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Ingram and I don't remember the other one. Halliburton, I think.
Certainly can, but we'll see. Anything else we need to touch on here?
No.
This is a hell of a DFS slate.
It really is.
I would really prefer to get the Eric Gordon news so we can just do the work.
Honestly, I just want him to be in.
So do I.
Like, I think this slate is more fun if you can just kind of roll the dice on random bench dudes.
If he's going to be out, I hope it happens at 9:30 though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just late swap.
I want to be the person that I want that benefit because people are going to give up. So, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. This slate's tough. I don't know what to do, but you're an idiot for your own opinion. Yeah, I completely agree. I've seen all the opinions in chat today. The last part of that is the most accurate part of the entire sentence. For sure. For sure. I've read too many opinions. Way too many opinions. NBA Live before lock. Coming up next, thank you to Better for being the sponsor for the NBA Deeper Dive. Thank you to Jordan Klein for producing. Hit that like button on your way out. Sign up for everything that we've got. Stochastic, Odd Shopper, you name it. Good luck, everybody. I'll see you guys at the top.
Yeah, just run into each
fall
other.
Down sometimes.
Intersperse.
Even the wrong words seem to rhyme.
I didn't even realize he'd started counting. What is happening, everybody? It is NBA Live Before Lock. We've got yet another spectacular 2-game slate to break down the NBA play-in tournament, and it was pretty well. I guess not the play-in, the in-season tournament. Yesterday's games were fucking awesome from like just a basketball standpoint. The DFS slate also had fun with that. So Eric and I here, we'll do a little recap of last night's slate. We'll also look forward to tonight's slate because I think we learned some lessons yesterday that are going to be important for today, and some stuff that you and I thought was going to potentially happen. Like teams really condensing their rotations. We saw starters play big minutes. We got the over 40 minutes for Tyrese Halliburton, which we thought was definitely a possibility. We got the big game out of Domantas Sabonis, who was a very, very, very special exotic play who helped some lineups yesterday. It's going to be a good one, guys. So if you could do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and shout out to Better, who is sponsoring the show today. We'll be talking a little bit more about Better as we go here. But first, Eric, what do you make of yesterday's slate, and how did it go relative to how we thought it was going to go?
Well, I feel bad because the exotic play that is Peyton Pritchard ended up just screwing you over. You had solo first intact. If you just simply go Aaron Neesmith over that little bitch boy. So that was not an enjoyable excursion, that's for sure. Yeah, it was a slate that we kind of nailed just about everything and just couldn't get all the pieces into the same lineup, either of us. So it was enjoyable from a basketball perspective. I thought the football game was also awesome, which I didn't see happening with Browning and Beathard and all the injuries and everything else. But I think we had a pretty great sports day yesterday. Hopefully we can run it back today. And hey, also, I think our minutes, like we were really good at projecting minutes yesterday with the Trey Murphy stuff, 30 plus, and getting, as much Sabonis as we possibly could. But I find it very difficult on this slate to figure out what to do in the late night window. I mean, obviously Eric Gordon's questionable. The Lakers rotation has so many iterations where I don't know what to do with them. I think this is a really intriguing 2-game slate.
Yeah, yesterday I was pretty happy with it. It was a little bit tilting because I came in 16th place in the $15. So I had a top 20 lineup. And yeah, if just Peyton Pritchard could have been a little bit better, I could have been elevated and come in first place. But overall, I did pretty well yesterday. I played 20 lineups, ended up 5xing my money, had some live sweats in the big tournament yesterday. So no complaints about that.
And I won bets. I won bets for once. What a time to be alive. Domantas Sabonis triple-double. A lot of people tuned in for that one. Glad that we were able to F it. We'll do it live. It was great to get that one across the home stretch for the people because he was not the problem for the Kings yesterday. That's for sure.
No, Sabonis. I did get a little bit nervous early because he had a massive start to the game, Sabonis, and then he picks up the 2 personal fouls and they put him on the bench. And then you start to look at it, you just go, oh no, like, is this just going to end up being a dud for him? But I mean, if we saw Sabonis play those few extra, I mean, he already was necessary and just criminally low ownership. It was like 13% in the $15 for Sabonis yesterday. If we got those few extra minutes, I mean, we were looking at probably like 75, 80 fantasy points or something like that. And that's the big takeaway that I think we have to start tonight. And the same way we started yesterday, Eric, is how are these play-in games for the, in-season tournament, whatever the hell we're calling it, really, really important in terms of how teams approach the rotation. There was some stuff that we hit on yesterday where it was like core players playing more minutes, although Zion Williamson was one guy who that did not apply to, but everybody else in general, if they were a star player, they played more minutes. We also saw some stuff that you and I thought was a possibility, like TJ McConnell ahead of Andrew Nembhard in the Pacers rotation. That was something else that you and I suspected was probably going to happen, and then that Halliburton was going to play most of the point guard minutes anyway. So as we look through tonight's games, which spots stand out to you as teams who might approach this game differently than how they've approached the first few weeks of the NBA season?
So the Lakers. This is a Lakers team that gets Rui Hachimura back after 10 days, 12 days off or whatever it was. And you already got Jared Vanderbilt back last game as well. And I went through last year's playoff rotations. Obviously, there are some pieces that are new here. Gabe Vincent is out. Max Christie, I think he'll be more involved to some extent, but there is a large range of outcomes where we're looking at 7 players on the Lakers specifically that could play anywhere from 8 minutes to 26 minutes. And none of those would surprise me. That's kind of rare to run into when we've had enough of a sample size here, but it's just that uncertainty of what happens with Rui and then who ends up having those minutes taken away from them. Coming into the show, I have 0 for Christian Wood. I have Rui Hachimura sitting there with 22 minutes, which I think is more than most people in the industry have him projected for. I just think last year you saw him have some offensive spark plug moments again in that Denver series and needed him out on the floor in that second unit. I think Cam Reddish takes a big minutes hit. I think Taurean Prince has a minutes floor if he doesn't get off to a good start there. But I think it's the same thing as yesterday where we do see these studs, whether it's Dame, Giannis, Devin Booker, Durant, Julius Randle, where now there's no ugly topic compared to their playoff rotations last year. So I think he's playing 39, 40 minutes no matter what. And then, of course, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, like we have those pieces of certainty. But because of things like Chris Middleton, how many minutes do we see him on the maximum? Do we see 32, 34 potentially for him for the first time all season? Quentin Grimes, you're going to see him play, 18 minutes maybe? I think there's so many of like these starters that are like fake starters where they're not going to play starters minutes. And I think that's what makes this slate even more intriguing than yesterday. Yesterday felt pretty clear cut to be on certain guys. And obviously the Nembhard and McConnell things, those are small variances. This is going to be like the difference between having the nuts and smashing or like legitimately not min cashing how you play the Lakers thing.
Got to smash the nuts. You just got to smash the nuts.
Got to smash some nuts, nutcrackers. It's the season of the nutcracker.
And the big thing too, obviously, and you had mentioned is Eric Gordon being questionable. Yes. And right now I just have him in, right? So Eric Gordon is somebody who I do think he's going to come in, if he plays, ridiculously low owned on this slate. I know that right now we have Eric Gordon projected for, let's see, where's Gordon? We have him projected for 10% ownership, which is not all that much, but I think we could even see him be like a 5% owned guy if he ends up playing, because that news is not coming in the next 50 minutes before we get to lock. And it's also so much easier to get off of Eric Gordon than it is to get on Eric Gordon. So at $5,900 on DraftKings,
you like some Erics, do you? I knew you liked Erics.
It's one of my 20 to 30,000 or so favorite names. It's a good one, that Eric name. So I think that Eric Gordon is somebody who right now looks like a pretty good contrarian play, just from a standpoint of it's a 2-game slate. He has a little bit of upside. I just don't think anybody's going to end up playing him. But we should also talk about the other end, which is if Eric Gordon does not play today, he's the only key player that's currently questionable on the injury report. Who benefits the most from the Suns if there is no Eric Gordon out there?
I assume that's Josh Okogie, mainly because that's who we've seen it be all season long. I don't think they would switch it up to Bates Diop or Little or anybody else at this point in time. So I think you just put Okogie, you take him from 18 to maybe 26 minutes, but Okogie isn't the guy that I would want to get to more. I think Nasir Little becomes probably my favorite play from Phoenix, other than the studs, of course. And, obviously you have Grayson Allen, who's pulling quite a bit of ownership because of the positionality, and Nurkic because he's a center who's been pretty consistent here. But I think Nasir Little at 3,700 simply because, he's only a 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy that we have in right now, but we've got a 0.79 here over the course of this season, and Josh Okogie is sitting there at 0.71, and it could very easily in a one game to rule them all kind of situation. It's not even like playoff situation. It's like you do everything you can to win that one game. Nasir Little can get more done, and he's $500 less. Gives me some more flexibility to get different. I would want to keep my eye on him. There's scenarios where that ends up being Yuta Watanabe at 3,400, but I doubt it. I think Kate Bates Diop, I doubt that they're going to be starting him in any kind of capacity. And at 4,100, I'm not really willing to take that kind of a stand with him there, but Nasir Little would be very intriguing to me if you end up getting that piece ruled out in Eric Gordon. And obviously Eric Gordon, he's way overpriced for what I assume his role to be, even at 30 minutes, sitting there at a 0.81 fantasy point per minute rate here on the season. I've got him right around 22 fantasy points. That's what we have here at Stochastic. And I don't see that changing a ton, but he's a piece that's going to be low owned. As you said, there's going to be leverage getting to him, and he can always go out and knock down 4 or 5 threes, and you're looking really, really good. So not somebody that I'm comfortable playing in even like 25% of lineups, but I will definitely be over the field as well if he plays.
It's also really easy if he doesn't play to get off him and then just allocate your exposure to some other cheap guys, spend up in another spot. Whereas vice versa, like I was saying before, it's really going to be hard to get yourself onto Eric Gordon if he's not already in your lineup. So he's in 4 out of the 20 lineups. I'm playing 20 lineups again today, like I did yesterday. We've got some questions coming in here from Super Chats. We'll answer those. And then also, if you guys are in the Discord channel, one of the perks of being a Stochastic member is you do get access to the Discord channel. Get at me during the course of the day, shows, whenever you want. You can ask me questions and we answer them We've got Brandon Wagner, and also we got the same question. Oh, Brandon Wagner asked it twice. He asked it for the last show as well. 100% Brunson in a 20 max DK. I'm doing it. So I guess this is really a question. Do you have an issue with him playing 100% of Jalen Brunson tonight?
You're playing 100% Jalen Brunson?
That's what Brandon Wagner says he's doing.
Oh, I thought you were.
I'm reading the question. Do you have an issue with him playing 100% of Jalen Brunson?
Yes, I do. But he's also, I mean, it's 100% of a guy in a price range. I'm just going to be shuffling through a lot of those guys. He's the cheapest of the quote unquote studs. You have Giannis, Booker, AD, Durant, James, Lillard, Randall, Brunson. That's everybody that is $7,000 or above. And it just so happens that Brunson is $8,500. So he's the cheapest of the quote unquote studs. I guess out of anybody that is on this top end, I probably would say Randall's my favorite to be way overweight too. But then Jalen Brunson would probably be second. So yeah, I guess I don't have a crazy problem with it as long as you understand that like your night revolves around what he does.
So 100% of Brunson is a lot to me. Guys, I don't feel great about any of the pay up options personally. Like I think
really, I feel really good about one.
I think different ones have their merits either based on what the price point is, what the ownership is.
That's what I'm getting at.
But to me, I kind of like rotating through all of these guys. There's not one that I want to hitch my wagon to. I'd rather kind of spread out. The one that I do have the most ownership to relative to what the field is LeBron James. LeBron projected for 27% ownership, where we have, let's see, what are all the pay up guys? So if we're talking about everybody who is above 8K, Giannis is only projected for 7% ownership. Booker at 13%. We've got AD at 30%. We've got Durant at 17%. We've got LeBron at 27%. We've got Lillard at 20%, then 37% for Randall, 38% for Jalen Brunson. So we've got, Giannis being pretty contrarian, Booker being contrarian. So I assume Giannis is going to be our guy.
Nope.
And,
There's only one guy out of the studs that you can play at the shooting guard position, and it's Devin Booker, and I am way overweight to him at 13%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Booker at 10-1, but there's still an issue on this lane. It's kind of what I talked to yesterday as well. There's a real opportunity cost with getting really expensive with these guys, and it's that the value is mostly shitty. Where we saw yesterday, massive game from Tyrese Halliburton, but he wasn't in the winning lineup on DraftKings yesterday because he was so expensive that there just wasn't really the cheap guys that enabled you to get up to him. Like he scored 67 fantasy points on a 2-game slate. You needed more out of him to be optimal yesterday, even more than the 67. So I go ahead and I look at Devin Booker at 10,100. Sure, there's a ceiling there, but I do prefer the guys who are priced sub 10K just because of the salary restrictions tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm just jamming Booker for the most part. I have nearly 50% of him. He's 12.5% owned. It's kind of asinine to me to a certain extent. Bradley Beal, Eric Gordon, you have 195 minutes with both of them off the floor this season. Devin Booker, 1.42 DraftKings points per minute. Durant, 1.38. And then you also just look at the positionality aspect, and you have one shooting guard availability. You have Giannis, power forward center. Anthony Davis, power forward center. You have Durant, power forward. You have LeBron, small forward, power forward. Dame, point guard. You got Brunson, point guard. Randall, power forward center. If I can get to the one guy who's the most under-owned out of all the studs, play him in the shooting guard spot or the guard spot there over on DraftKings, and rotate with some different builds, I love that on this slate. You get the defense also, and I guess this is kind of leading into my big hot take of the entire night. I have 0% D'Angelo Russell. He is 41% owned right now. I'm playing 40 lineups and I'm just going to full fade him. I think there's a really strong chance, and this is why it's kind of like I'm beating my head over the wall trying to figure out what this Lakers playoff rotation is. If D'Angelo Russell is not knocking down shots, you don't have him on the floor to close over Austin Reeves. You just don't if you're Darvin Ham. They didn't do it last year because you can't, and they won't do it this year. There are a lot of scenarios where D'Angelo Russell goes out and nukes this slate, and I'm dead, and I'm just fine with it. But that happens a lot in NBA DFS. And on a 2-game slate, when I know that there is a track record of D'Angelo Russell, yeah, he's a 1.11 fantasy point per minute guy this season, 6,700 playing 30 minutes. He's a decent enough play, but if I'm trying to get different on this slate, I'm happy to try to rotate around some of these Lakers pieces and imagine what that closing lineup looks like without him, where he's not knocking down shots and they're going out for the jugular here. Now, it's a 1-game slate. This is still the beginning of the season and it's new territory. Maybe they do have Russell out there to close in some of these scenarios, but I really like getting to Devin Booker in this spot because he's going to play Cam Reddish. He's going to play D'Angelo Russell off this floor really damn quickly. Austin Reeves probably going to be somebody that I'm overweight to here at 24%, although it's really going to rely on what happens with those minutes, or specifically what happens with Eric Gordon, where I can like play other Suns and things of that nature. But D'Angelo Russell, huge fade for me on this slate.
So D'Angelo Russell, I'm about even with the field. I don't really have any kind of issues with him. The place that I am getting different from the field, and also getting back to the question to start with, which was Brandon Wagner, 100% of Jalen Brunson. Point that I was going to make there before we went off on talking about who our favorite pay-up options were. I like mixing and matching these guys. There isn't one that's a priority for me, and I wouldn't just want to say 100% Jalen Brunson because I want to have lineups with AD, with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Devin Booker, and mix and match different guys in there, where I think you could take some stands maybe on some cheaper guys, which we'll talk about coming up. The player that I am most underweight to now, and this is kind of in the same vein of yesterday, where we're talking about guys who we think are going to be really popular and their minutes projection is flimsy. Yesterday, I talked about that guy being Andrew Nembhard. Today, we have, let's see, where's the ownership?
Marion Beauchamp.
Yeah, just crazy ownership.
I knew it.
He's projected for 33% ownership.
Yeah, I have 0 of him too, so that's funny.
And there's two things going on here. Number one, like, why does he have to play big minutes for the Bucks when he already, the last 4 games, he's played 17, 22, 9, and 9 minutes? And something else too, Chris Middleton is popular on the slate. The reason Middleton is popular is because his minutes have started to go up. Where are those minutes coming from? I think a lot of them probably come from Beauchamp if we start to see Middleton play a full allotment of minutes. So to me, I think he's the easiest guy to undercut the field on. And it really doesn't make sense to me that the field is heavily playing both Middleton and Beauchamp, because how are there adequate minutes for both of them?
I'm with you. I think that's an easier fade. So, I mean, I got on my tangent, but like for me, that's more of like a calculated fade that I'm making there. I would just rather, rotate around the studs at point guard, other guys at the guard position for value, and then just kind of omit the one guy pulling 40% of the ownership. I think this one probably is star highlighted, an even better one. I'm with you. 0% Marion. It's a much easier fade because like D'Angelo, there's a path to him smashing. There's a very obvious path to him smashing, and it doesn't take a whole lot. He just needs to go like 3 for 6 from 3 early on, and then you're going to possibly see him close and I'm screwed. But again, there's such a downside on the other side of that. For this one, I'm with you. There's just no case that he should be 33% in the early game. Something tells me that this can't possibly be true, but it seems as though it is. So now what you do is you're locking yourself a third of your lineups into a spot where you can't swap to much better plays potentially with the Suns, much better, I think, upside plays with the Lakers. It just makes no sense for me to be playing Marion Beauchamp in the first game.
Yeah, he ended in one of my 20 lineups. So very, very far underweight to field on a guy who the field is playing in 33% of lineups. And there's real opportunity cost here as well. If Eric Gordon sits, you want to have one of your lineup spots taken by Beauchamp when there's going to be value elsewhere. So I'll take my chance on him not being the guy that wrecks the slate. Has Beauchamp even had any kind of ceiling this year?
No, he
has
more like Beauchamp.
I mean, not even like Chump would be an upgrade over the piece of dog shit that he is. His last handful of games, he scored 9 fantasy points, 10, 6, 4, 9, 11, 7. I'm not saying players' box scores are the end all be all. This is a guy who's like regularly playing less than 10 minutes over the course of the last couple of weeks. So we'll see. People in the chat also saying that we know Beauchamp won't be 30% owned. I mean, yesterday we were talking on the show. We thought that Andrew Nembhard's projection in terms of his ownership was a little weird looking, and then he still ended up being chalky anyway. We got 26% of Nembhard.
Nothing is as tilting or as suspicious as us having 4.6% projected ownership for Trey Murphy, and he ended up 22% in the freaking main event.
Eric taking credit for it. Everybody got on Trey Murphy just because of Eric Lindquist.
22% is insane. He wasn't projected for 24 minutes anywhere. I said 32 minutes, and all of a sudden he's 22% owned. Are you kidding me?
Eric did it. You know what I think it most likely is?
What?
I think Eric played 400 lineups last night. All Trey Murphy. Single hand. That
would have been a bad idea because he scored 13 points in the first half, and he didn't take a shot for like 20 minutes in the second half. Oh, I'm so tilting to watch.
He was decent though. It's not like he.
Oh yeah, he was great. He ended up scoring a couple towards the end. He knocked down a couple threes at the end of the game. I think he had the quietest 19 points I've ever, like 19 actual real points that I've ever seen in an NBA game.
So yeah, I mean, you were all over the minutes. Eric was right on that one yesterday. And if you guys remember the nuke of the night, which is going to be coming up in a few minutes, yesterday's nukes of the night, Eric went with Trey Murphy, and I went with
Joval.
Oh, and Joval. I went with Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis did end up only being 13% on. That was actually
unreal.
That was the craziest ownership on the slate yesterday.
Yeah, he ended up my highest owned center between the two. I had more of him than I had Joval at the flip, mainly because I turned like all of Barnes, and I had a little bit of Keegan Murray. I don't know why I had some Keegan Murray, but I turned all of that, like just moved things around into Herbert Jones plus Sabonis, and got off of every Zion share, which ended up working out really nicely. But again, just didn't have the right pieces together. Also didn't have enough Bruce Brown. He ended up really popular in everything.
And he was very good yesterday as well.
Yes, he was.
Scotty Olison. You're going to like the super chat, Eric.
Okay.
Scotty Olson has left us $20 and said, just want to thank Eric for the triple double bet. Should have let my nuts hang and put more on it. So Eric, we've got a man who is seemingly wants you to do something with his balls. And he's very happy too that he won a Sabonis triple double bet yesterday from Eric Lindquist. And if you guys aren't aware of this, you sign up at OddShopper, you can use the link below and the promo code Eric. If you don't know how to spell Eric's name, is ERIC. That gets you 20% off OddShopper. And once you're in there, you get
promo code Lindy.
Oh, it's
Lindy. It's not Eric. No, Eric is Eric. It's EMAC in the freaking chat. It's Lindy.
What's wrong with that?
Promo code Lindy, Lindy. That's what you want to sign up with.
I mean, they could do that too. If you guys want, you can sign up. Promo code Lindy, Lindy, like Lindy's Locks, the video they did as every single night. But also, once you're in our Discord channel, you're going to get access to both of us, right? So you get to hang out with us more than you do. We post some bets in there, but then also you get access to OddShopper, our plus EV betting model, and we tag some of our favorite bets on there as well. So we've got stuff for everybody in OddShopper now, and you do get 20% off when you sign up using that promo code Lindy, Lindy, all capital letters. There's a link for that below to sign up. Another question here. This one is from Tim Lee. Tim is asking us, what do we think about Grimes averaging 34 minutes the last 3 games that they played against the Bucks, dating back to November 30th of last year? Coincidence?
Don't care.
I'd have to look. Potentially. I'd say probably, actually. Let's go ahead and look.
In one game to rule them all, in one game to find them, if Josh Hart somehow doesn't get to 30 plus minutes, I would be shocked. And that just creates a chasm in terms of what the minutes are in a closing rotation. Mitchell Robinson, he's had far more leash here at the end of games, so long as he's out of foul trouble. I think you're looking at DiVincenzo, who's played better. Emmanuel Quickly, you have to carve out minutes for him as well. I just think Quentin Grimes is a victim of like better players playing behind him. They like to start with him for whatever reason. Maybe it's I don't know why. They should just have Quickly out there more. I think you probably feel the same way as I do with that. But Quentin Grimes, he's just been pseudo fake starter here. I mean, you're not going to be getting 24 minutes of him in just about any situation other than like and even in a blowout. Like you don't get blowout run from Quentin Grimes for whatever reason. So it's not for me. I get what you're looking at. I know why you're looking at it. Just don't overthink it. Don't play Quentin Grimes here in this spot.
So I'm looking at some of these games, and here's why I'm going to tell you it's a little bit of a coincidence. So the last time they played Milwaukee, RJ Barrett was out. Right, so that just means more minutes for Quentin Grimes. Also, something kind of funny because I have the game in front of me. Mitchell Robinson, that game against the Bucks, had 15 rebounds and no other stats. That's it. That's an interesting. I've never seen that stat line before. That is a new one for me. All right, so that last game, there's no RJ Barrett. That's going to increase his minutes. The game before that, there was also no RJ Barrett. The game before that, RJ Barrett was also. Does RJ Barrett just doesn't play against the Bucks apparently? All right, so the last 2 games to talk about those minutes. So Tim Lee left us a super chat. So I've looked at the last 2 games against Milwaukee. He's referencing the minutes, the last 3 for Quentin Grimes. RJ Barrett was out in the last 2. Now let's see what happened in that third one that he's also talking about. The third game here. Who was out in that one? So this is hilarious. RJ Barrett played that game, but got into foul trouble and had 5 personal fouls. So for whatever reason, we've had basically, yes, it's a coincidence. the last handful of games the Knicks have played against the Milwaukee Bucks, in 2 of them, RJ Barrett was out, and the other one, he got into foul trouble, which ultimately meant that we got more playing time out of Grimes here. Also, also part of this early last year's before Quickly was really a big part of the rotation. He only played 16 minutes. So yeah, largely coincidence, Tim. Largely coincidence. Yeah. And then Brandon Wagner says, shout out to Greg with the Eric Cartman shirt. Respect my authority. Yes.
Is that what you're? Oh, that is.
It's actually
just as a bright shining. It is the night of a day.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Casa Bonita.
So good.
All right, let's see what else we've got on the Discord channel here. And if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Some questions that are coming into us in the Discord channel. We're going to answer a couple of these, and then it's time for Nuke of the Night. So strap in, Eric, because 2 questions, and then Jordan, get that animation queued up, because after these 2 questions, it's going to be Nuke of the Night time. First here, we have Kenny Wayne. Kenny Wayne is asking us, should I adjust to getting 0 Dame or Giannis in 20 max on DK? If you're getting to them, that's fine. Like, they're not priorities for me on the slate. I have more exposure to Dame than I do to Giannis, but I don't think you should go out of your way to force yourself to 0 of them.
Yeah, don't need to force it.
Next question here is from our guy Capanicello, who always likes to ask about the Nuke of the Night. He did say thanks in advance for Nuke of the Night, which is going to be coming in here in a second. And then he also says, who do you guys play in a DK single entry for tonight? Thanks in advance. Let's just tie this together, right? Because for a 2-game slate, I kind of think the tournament plays we like the most are going to correlate to whoever it is that we might like in a GPP for single entry or large field. So, Eric, let's do it. Nuke of the Night, Jordan, play the animation. It is time. Nuke Town explodes. Eric, who are we going with today? Who's the Nuke of the Night? Who's the Nuke of the Night on tonight's 2-game slate? Yesterday, you gave out 2 of them, Trey Murphy and Jonas Valanciunas. I went with Domantas Sabonis, and overall, they were guys that we got pretty good results out of relative to, their price points and what yesterday's 2-game slate was. Who are we going with today, though?
So a lot of people will remember that I went Julius Randle as 7%. What was that last? It was the last live before lock we did, the Wednesday it was.
Yeah, and everybody remembers. That's all they're talking about.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I remember I did good one time calling one player and saying one thing, but, obviously got off the board a little bit yesterday. We both did, and it ended up being fantastic, guys. We were way over on. Today it's Devin Booker. There's no way when I look at the studs and the positionality that this makes any sense to me. You have some pace up for specifically the Suns here. The Lakers have been playing at the 10th fastest pace in the NBA thus far this season. And you get, again, I don't like to look at individual defense, but it is what it is. D'Angelo Russell on dunksandthrees.com is a minus 1.8 and estimated plus minus. He is a 10th percentile defender. 10th percentile defender. What are we doing? They're going to put him in the pick and roll, put him in a blender, and they're going to just eat him. And Austin Reeves has not been a whole hell of a lot better himself. In fact, he's been one of the worst defenders in the NBA thus far. So the guy you're probably going to be replacing with him, putting him out there in crunch time situations, is 2nd percentile in defense, minus 2.7 on estimated plus minus. So it's a pace up spot. And you look at it defensively, Cam Reddish, he's 6'7". Maybe they do find ways to try to get him in one-on-one scenarios with Booker, but it doesn't matter. Booker is so freaking good that it doesn't matter to me. And I get if you want to be playing a little bit more Kevin Durant here as well, but this Knicks-Milwaukee game, Milwaukee plays up in pace. Knicks are dead last in pace. And I'm just kind of hoping that the studs don't go completely ballistic there in that one. Although I do think, Giannis is still going to be a good play because of positionality. He's the highest spend up though. I love getting to Devin Booker. Yes, it is partially an ownership thing, but you look at this in a vacuum, it just makes all the sense without Beal there, without some of the other pieces that, that they don't have any other pieces out there on the bench. 1.42 DraftKings points per minute guy with no Beal and no Gordon on the floor. Even with Gordon on the floor, not too shabby because he's freaking Devin Booker and he is 13% on a 2-game slate.
I'm going to go with Jared Vanderbilt. There are very, very few value plays that I think are any bit decent looking on the slate. I don't even know if Vanderbilt is going to be. But what did Eric talk about last night when it came to Trey Murphy? Was that Trey Murphy was coming back from an injury. We saw him play pretty decent minutes his first game back, and then he really did take a big step forward his next game. Well, Jared Vanderbilt has only played one game so far this year. And he, by the way, I don't even know why he missed this much time. Do you know what his injury has been, Eric?
He has a big penis. What?
Bruised heel. But
oh,
yeah,
okay, it's
big
close.
penis. Yeah, I mean, it can be multiple things. I don't think the other thing caused him to miss games, but two things can be true in this scenario. Jared Vanderbilt played 14 minutes his first game back, and on this slate where there's just limited value and he's only $3,500, if he plays 14 minutes again, I do think he's live to score like a fantasy point per minute. Oh, look, Eric's building his lineups there. I think Eric, you know what happened there, Jordan? Eric immediately decided he heard Jared Vanderbilt's name. He's like, I need to get more Jared Vanderbilt in my lineups. And then his camera turned off. That's what I think it's a reasonable assumption as to what ended up happening here. But Vanderbilt, only $3,500, played 14 minutes last game. It stands to reason he plays more than that. His next game back, something like 16, 18 minutes. But even if he only plays the 14, I think that could be enough for him to be one of the better value plays on his slate that doesn't have that many cheap options to get to. So mid 20% ownership here for Jared Vanderbilt. I like getting overweight to that number. Somebody I like playing in single entry to save some money, also looking for large field tournaments. So Jared Vanderbilt, that is going to be my nuke of the night, Eric Lindquist. And what are you doing over there in Exotic Land?
This is so tilting. Why are the Sims doing this to my computer? You know what? Just come on. One
thing I don't understand.
It's a professional quality thing. What? Go ahead.
For some reason in Zoom, your name flickers on and off too.
What do you mean?
Do you know what I'm talking about, Jordan?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So your screen goes black, but it says Eric Lindquist on the screen, but then your name flickers on and off.
Well, I'm actually working for the CIA as an operative, trying to undermine, all of the doings. We here at Stochastic/OddShopper are, planning world domination, and that starts by taking dunce of the knights and turning them into betting agents for our doing. I don't know.
I have a feeling what you're investigating is that this better offer is so good that it just seems unbelievable.
I want to get better.
Because when you sign up at Better using the link we have below, you do get up to $500 on your first deposit. I mean, just a tremendous bonus over at Better. So double your first deposit up to $500. And Eric, who, to the surprise of nobody, has been a narc this entire time, he is looking into it. He's trying to figure out what it is that's going on because the deal is almost too good to be true. Sign up at Better using the link that we have below. You do get up to a $500 bonus on your first deposit. Eric Gordon expected to play. So we've got Eric Gordon in, and then we've got the Bucks starting lineup: Dame, Beasley, Middleton, Giannis, Brooke Lopez. Eric, immediate reaction to your fellow namesake, Eric Gordon, playing tonight?
Well, Erics are beautiful. They're fun, and they like the game of basketball. And, lots of things I've got to know about them, but can't just ask me. I'll have to show you.
All right. So now that you've outed yourself on being on the spectrum, are you playing Eric Gordon? Or I wasn't even sure what to make of that.
No, I think Eric Gordon's just fine. I'm going to get to like 10% of him, probably tops now. I mean, enough people play him now. This came out so early, 24 minutes before lock. He's not a good play at this point. I would probably even be willing to reduce that even further.
Kind of a bummer because I was excited to be playing a potentially unowned Eric Gordon. If he ends up in a couple lineups and I rerun everything, so be it. But I'm not going to do anything like force him in or anything like that. I even considered Eric Gordon as being my nuke of the night a few minutes ago as a way to give yourself some extra flexibility.
Happy to tiptoe out of that one, aren't you?
Well, I would have just changed who it was if that news came out. I would have given somebody else. But yeah, Eric Gordon is going to be in, which eliminates any of the potential value options. I do wonder, because people have probably heard, the people talking about like Nasir Little all day. Do you think that that's somebody who still picks up ownership by the field just because people have heard Nasir Little as a potential value option?
Maybe. I mean, my thing is he's so cheap that like, who cares? Like you should probably get to a little bit anyway. It's I mean, we are starving for value now. Now that broke that way, I mean, we're just going to be playing. I'm just going to play Lakers bench roulette and just hope that it lands on the right number in a couple of these spots. I think they're probably more intriguing to me than getting to the Phoenix side, mainly because Phoenix can really condense up that rotation. I mean, if you play 30 minutes of Eric Gordon here, I'm assuming you have him for 30 minutes, same as me.
Eric Gordon. I may even have less than that.
Yeah, so Nurkic, I have 32-16.
I did 32.
Yeah, so I have Devin Booker for 39. I have Kevin Durant for 39. I have Nurk for 34-ish. So 33, 34, kind of like right in that ballpark. 15, 16-ish for Drew Eubanks here. Just strictly backing up center there. Now you have Grayson Allen walking into probably, I was going to play him right around 34 minutes no matter what here. I don't know. This feels like this shortened up this rotation a little bit more. I'm inclined to take a couple of minutes away from Okogie, Bates Chop, and Nasir Little, just because of the price point, I think is decent enough to get to still. It's just a really uncomfortable feeling.
All right, we got a question here in the Discord channel. This one is coming to us from C Love, who says, can you rank AD, LeBron, Booker, and KD? So we've got like 5-6 questions to answer here in Discord, Jordan. After we get through these, I want to build some lineups in the lineup generator, see what ends up showing up there. But first, let's answer these questions. This one first coming from C Love wants to know, can we rank AD, LeBron, Booker, KD? I guess we'll rank them in terms of the exposure we have to them. Eric, I'll let you start it off. I assume Booker is your number one. Who are you going with the rest of these pay up guys?
Nope. LeBron James 2, Kevin Durant 3, Anthony Davis 4, which is weird because I think there's been a number of slates that you've heard from me lately where it's like I'm playing infinity amounts of Anthony Davis and Sims Tool. I'm happy to get overweight to him still. I think there's paths that I can still get overweight to him, but he's falling in fourth amongst those guys. I just have tons of that last game studs. LeBron James number 2.
So for me here, I have LeBron 182, Durant 3, Booker 4. I've got very similar Booker and Durant, but I just went with them last to be a little bit more different than you. Einsteinium wants to know, would you roster Hartenstein and Robinson in the same lineup? If you're hand building one, no.
Nope.
If you're building lineups, if you're just building a bunch of lineups in the Sims and some of them end up showing up in the same lineup, cool. I don't have a massive issue with that. If you're playing a large portfolio of lineups. So for anybody who's just building, 1, 2, 3 lineups, I would not want to have Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson in the same lineup. Grown Simba. Hey, Greg, longtime viewer here. Who are Eric's top 3 exotic plays of the night? And thank you, Eric. This is a question which, to be honest, I was getting a little bit upset because I was like, is nobody going to ask us about the exotic play? We get asked this every single day for the last few weeks, and I would have been really crestfallen had nobody asked us about it. Now, this screwed me yesterday because I had my best lineup, came in top 20 in the $15, had Peyton Pritchard, and he only scored 8 fantasy points. If Peyton Pritchard goes out and he scores 16 fantasy points, I come in first place last night in the $15. He didn't, though. He sucked. So I do really think we want to limit our exposure to some of these exotic players. I know that people have gotten really excited about them, but I don't know that you just want to be forcing these guys into your lineups. But Eric, it is a 2-game slate. Sabonis crushed last night. Who's somebody you're considering as a potential exotic play today? And possibly your top 3 if you'd like.
I just hate this so much. Everybody, so I understand. Some people understood that was Kawhi Leonard. Some people did not. It was a funny bit, and it's enjoyable. I don't know why some people really enjoy that, but also other people were like, "What is wrong with Eric?" And I get that.
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with you, the viewers. Ask me. You should not be asking me these questions. That said, I must answer it. It's probably Dante DiVincenzo or Austin Reeves in some capacity, but I believe Greg is going to make a max 2 exotic players rule in the aftermath of yesterday's debacle.
Yeah, I tweeted out no more than 2 of these buffoons in the same lineup for me.
Unreal.
Not after the screw job that Peyton Pritchard gave me yesterday. Yeah. I could have won all the money, and he goes out and he just plays like an exotic player. So by
the way, I'm getting to a little bit of D'Angelo Russell now, so I just want to throw it out there now. I'm sure if I have a screenshot of winning it now, I have 12% D'Angelo Russell because now Eric Gordon in. I built lineups with him out. Now I'm going to get a tiny bit, so it is what it is.
Austin Reeves, number 1 for me. Number 1 for me is Austin Reeves. Number 2, Really only Austin Reeves, actually. Just one. We're just going with Austin Reeves. Yeah, just one for me, Austin Reeves. That's the only one. We got some super chats that have come in now, and this one is from Brandon Wagner. Who said, another one from Brandon Wagner. He is 70% Bobby Portis. Is that too much for 20 max? And then he also followed up and says he is 100% Brunson, 100% Hart, and 70% AD in different variants of that build. 20% Bobby Portis. Is he somebody you have an issue taking a stand on? I'm also underweight. I'm also, overweight to Bobby Portis. Really good points per minute fantasy producer. Not all that popular, 22% ownership for a 2-game slate. 70% of him is a lot, but he actually is a very high variance player that I don't have an issue taking a stand on in tournaments.
Yeah, there's a minutes volatility that could exist there. I mean, the thing that we're seeing is Chris Middleton's playing more and more and more minutes, but we've seen iterations where they might not have Brook Lopez out there to close, or at least not in certain stretches of the fourth quarter as you work through some of the box scores in recent weeks. So Bobby Portis, there's also a chance that they completely phase out Baryon Beauchamp, somebody that we're both underweight to. And then Campaign's the only other guy I have in this rotation. So there's $8 that I have in play. I doubt this is sorry, Mr. Jackson. Woo, we're not going to be playing him, even though he's in. I mean, yeah, there's $8. He's got to be a part of this rotation for around 24, 26 minutes minimum. So yeah, I don't mind the Bobby Portis stand. I only have 28%, though. I don't know what his ownership is right now.
22%.
Okay, so I'm a little bit over. Cool.
We have a super chat from Weatherman7, and this is a pair sticker as per usual. And this is just a grateful pair to saying thank you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you, Weatherman7. Thank you for the super chat. And Weatherman never asks us questions. You're always free to ask us questions as well with your stickers, but he just likes to leave us stickers sometimes. Got some more questions here in the Discord channel, and then we'll build some lineups in the lineup generator as soon as we bang these out. I keep saying that, and then the questions pile up, so we don't quite get there, but here we go. Einsteinium is saying, my most exposed centers are Hartenstein and Vanderbilt. Should I be worried? I think both of them are fine upside plays. I'm overweight to each of them. I don't have an issue with that being a stand you're on either. I like Hartenstein. I like getting to Vanderbilt as well. Do you dislike Vanderbilt or Hartenstein tonight?
I dislike Vanderbilt and Hartenstein. No, I have way more Vanderbilt, though.
C Love is asking us, Eubanks, Hartenstein, or neither on DK. I prefer Hartenstein.
I prefer Eubanks.
All right. So somebody here is Hayes Stables. I understand what you're doing here. I appreciate it. He wants to know who the exquisite play of the day is.
Oh my fuck. Come on, people. Come on. Like
I don't even know how to spin this off any further.
Just quit while you're behind. Quit. Just quit. The exquisite play of the night. Jordan Klein. There it is. He's exquisite. He's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't even know where you go. Like if we're to say like Rui as a Japanese player, but then he's the only Japanese player in the entire league, I think, Rui.
Yeah, I think in the history of the NBA, right?
Yeah, there's not enough options for us to go with another one.
Oh, Yuta Watanabe. Good call. There you go. I think Rui, when he was drafted, maybe that's what it was. I remember he was like one of the first guys to be a lottery pick. That's what it was. The Japanese.
By the way, Weatherman7 said he won $11,000 this week and was just saying thanks. Well, thank you for the super chat. And that's awesome, man. Always love to see when people go out and win contests, whether it's watching the show, using the tools. One thing you guys should be doing, just this is for your own value. If you're playing on DraftKings FanDuel, whoever you're playing, play with the avatar, the stochastic avatar, so that if you end up winning, you could tweet at us, you get in the Hall of Fame, and then you get a free month of the site. So something to consider when you're playing and if you win tournaments, Weatherman7. But awesome. Thank you for the shout out. And congrats on the wins. That's sick, man. What else do we have in here? We've got Clyde, who's asking for a FanDuel single entry, Brook Lopez or Nurkic. Nurkic is quite popular today, and I do like pivoting off of him to get to more of Brook Lopez. I think Nurk, another guy, really wide range of outcomes, but super popular. I'd rather be underweight to field on Nurk. So give me Brook Lopez over Nurkic.
I'm such a Nurk stan. I love Nurk, but I'm probably with you. It's hard because I think he's a good play and I get why he's popular. It's a weird one for me. I will say, yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with it. I'm a little bit jarred going through some of my center exposures right now. I'm just jamming Mitchell Robinson.
Jarred. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson's a good option today as well. Poker Amateur Eric says, can I get a quixotic play of the night? Boy, this is just this is a variation of a variation of a variation, and it's going to make my head explode.
This is the inception of jokes right now, and I'm not appreciating it.
I will say that probably not exactly what you mean, but I am underweight to the field on Emmanuel quickly. I'm a little concerned that he's played sub 20 minutes in back-to-back games, and he's still popular tonight.
I'm a little bit concerned by it too, but also, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo's played really, really good in a couple of those. Like, it could very easily go back and forth either direction.
Can you pull up the lineup generator, Jordan? Let's start building some lineups there. We can look at them as I answer these outstanding questions that are coming into the Discord here. JEW says that he's playing one lineup tonight on both sites across all single entries. Do you think going bounce is the safest since there are long shots? Or do I need a stud to get there? I don't think you need a stud tonight. I think it's very reasonable to think that like Randall has a big game or Brunson has a big game. And there aren't even that many guys to really pay up for. You know, you got Giannis is kind of in a price tier of his own. Are we even considering LeBron at $9,600, like a stud option relative to the salary?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you is like what you're talking about relative to a stud, because like it is really hard for me to imagine a scenario where you go between the 8,500 or like anybody you would consist of like, 8,500, Jalen Brunson or up. All those guys are going to play 36 minutes barring crazy blowout. So you are going to have somebody go nuts out of that grouping in this spot, getting this many minutes. Like there's 42-minute upside for a couple of these guys. So it's one where I would want to have at least one of those guys in lineups, perhaps two, maybe three, if you can make it work, and then try to find who that low owned piece is going to be on the other end. But balanced is probably not the right word for it, because there's no like middle tier. There's not like the 6-7K tier you're going to get on an 11 game slate tomorrow where we're playing a ton of those dudes. So I would be inclined to be playing two studs, quote unquote studs, being Brunson or better, Brunson or more expensive, and then making it work around them.
Yeah, I just really quickly am adding up my exposures here, and I have 165% of the guys who are Brunson and more expensive. So it means I'm averaging about 1.5 of them per lineup. I think 1 or 2 is probably where you want to go, if that's what you're considering the spend up. Like if you're saying that the spend up is the 10K plus or higher guys, I don't necessarily think you absolutely need to have one of those guys in the lineup, but I think you should have at least one of the 8,500 or higher guys in that lineup, JEW. And with that in mind, Jordan, here, build a contrarian lineups. And as you save some of them, I'll be curious to see what it is that pops up in the contrarian lineups in the lineup generator for today. And if you guys want to sign up for the lineup generator, there's a link below. There's a link for all of the different tools and everything we have at stokastic.com. But if you want to sign up for the lineup generator package, $14.95, you get access to this lineup generator. It's going to build lineups that through our sims, we are projecting to be plus EV lineups. So, you know, stuff that it's based on our projections, our sims, our ownership projections, everything all encompassing here. And it's going to give you the lineups for you. So let's see what we ended up coming out with here, where we got to, hey, I like to see it in our contrarian lineups. We did get up overweight to the field on Vanderbilt, to somebody who I also like at modest ownership, right? Mid 20% ownership for Jared Vanderbilt. LeBron, he is the pay up option on most overweight to today. LeBron himself only project for 27% ownership. So I like him on the high end. One thing I don't like here though, is all the Beauchamp. That's Malik Beasley. Never mind. I looked at it that's fine. I just saw the B and I thought that was Beauchamp, but I realized now that's Malik Beasley.
Maybe do your job, Greg.
No, reading is not in my job.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that. So I apologize. I take it back.
Yeah. Anything else you notice about these lineups that stands out to you?
I don't see enough Devin Booker for my liking, but that's about it.
So Eric doesn't like the lack of Devin Booker. I would say a little bit too much of Emmanuel quickly, but there's nothing else that really stands out to me as being an issue. You know, Mitchell Robinson, he's going to be popular today, but I think he's more or less warranted chalk. It is a decent amount of Quentin Grimes. Torian Prince is showing up in some lineups as well. I really don't know what to expect from the Lakers rotation today. But you could certainly take shots on different of these guys, whether it's, you know, Torian Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, and I do think one of them should be serviceable today. It's just hard to know who it is going to be. I'll scroll down a little bit more, Jordan. Let's see what else is showing up there. Oh, there's Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves in 28% of lineups. Were we over or underweight to the field on D'Lo? I can't remember if I saw him at the top there. Yeah, we are actually way underweight to the field on D'Lo. So there's a stand that we made. Yeah, D'Lo only in 15% of lineups. So we did get more of Austin Reeves than we got to D'Lo in this. I figure you would like that.
That makes me very, 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 very happy.
All right, so there's an overview.
I say that not knowing that, like, if Russell knocks down a couple of threes, I'm going to look like an idiot tomorrow, but I'm willing to accept it. Yeah, I only have three of 50 now. I made 10 more lineups, 3 of 50 with D'Angelo Russell. So whatever that is.
Go ahead and build some FanDuel lineups in here also, Jordan. And we've got a super chat here from Malcolm. Revamp wants to know, what are our DK and FanDuel plays? Thank you for the win. Eric, I can answer for DraftKings or FanDuel. Do you have a preference about which one you want to talk about?
DK, if I could. Yeah, I only built one lineup on FanDuel.
We'll go back and forth. Who are your favorite overall DK options? And I'll do it for FanDuel.
All righty. At the point guard position, it is Jalen Brunson.
Brunson for me on FanDuel as well.
Shooting guard, Devin Booker.
Austin Reeves at shooting guard for me on FanDuel.
Chris Middleton at small forward.
LeBron James at small forward.
Jared Vanderbilt, power forward.
Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein is power forward and center eligibility on FanDuel, and he's only 3,900. So Hartenstein at power forward. And
just jamming Mitchell Robinson like the chalk donkey that I am.
So then if we look at center, I could answer Mitchell Robinson. Relative to ownership, I also like Brook Lopez quite a bit. We've got Mitchell Robinson projected for 36% ownership on FanDuel. Brook Lopez slightly less at 32%. Brook Lopez, Mitchell Robinson. You can answer really either of them. On DraftKings, my preference is to not have Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein together. It's very hard to avoid them together on FanDuel, though, where Hartenstein's only $3,900. So I'll go Brook Lopez at center. You already answered Mitchell Robinson. I'm not going to be a pussy here. Nicholas Lim. Nicholas Lynn has asked us a question. What would the odds be on Greg versus Eric in the cage? So Eric is a lot bigger than me, so it would have to be a pretty substantial favorite. However, I feel like it outwork him if this gets extended in any kind of way. So to me, it's going to have to be, my cardio is for sure better than yours.
No, it's not.
I have to really, really extend how this fight is going to go. I have to wear Eric out. And then I think in the later stages, I could overwhelm him with cardio and pressure. Now Eric's just an answer that'll sit on me.
Yeah, I will. And you won't be able to move because you're tiny.
I'm fucking fast, though.
And I'm not. You're just assuming I'm not fast?
Dude, I'm quick as hell, and I'll run forever.
I'll run forever. I literally ran a half marathon earlier this year.
All right, we'll see. Okay. So Nicholas Lynn, we've got different
Eric fights dirty though. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, oh yeah.
Bet me by third round submission. It's a long odds bet that I think you've got to.
I do kind of like that one, mainly because you just agitate me, and also it is what it is. Drunk Eric minus 6,000.
He's like an anime character. He gets stronger when he's drunker. Piffet, AA3. How viable is a lineup with Portis and Lopez in it? I don't have an issue with it on this 2-game slate. And
I don't either.
They could be sharing the court together at some point. It's not a problem. Rocky Raccoon 7. I think Eric is cool and want to get spaghetti with them. Do you think he likes spaghetti? Should I ask him for spaghetti? Also, do you like Kane on FanDuel? I don't really like campaign tonight.
Strange question. Yeah, no. I like spaghetti. Spaghetti's delicious.
Yeah, it gives me inflammation, though.
Oh,
Love. Do you like Eubanks, Brunson? Oh, so it's a 2v2. Eubanks and Brunson or Nurkic and Quickly? I'll go with the Nurkic and Quickly side. I don't really love Drew Eubanks for today.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hitman J. Do Randall and Brunson have negative correlation? A little bit, but I wouldn't worry myself with it on this slate.
No, wouldn't think too hard about it.
And then C Love is asking Middleton or Reeves if he has no Lakers in his lineup. Interesting. I'm wondering who else you might have in that lineup if you have no other Lakers. I think Reeves in a lineup with no other Lakers is a pretty good pivot, particularly off of D'Angelo Russell. How about you? What would you say, Middleton or Reeves, Eric?
I prefer Middleton in a vacuum, but like Reeves, actually, I don't know. Cause I mean, I have way more Reeves with the way that I'm building my lineups, but I'm thinking if I were building out one where I wasn't just like full fading Russell for the most part and playing more Reeves as like the closer there. I will go. Yeah, no, I like the Reeves side a little bit more if you're just going to go one Laker.
All right. Ben Anthony is leaving us super chat. 100% Miles McBride. I'm all in on it. I believe you're making a grave error, my friend.
Welcome to poverty.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Don't
2 minutes to go until lock. Good luck fixing that. I can't back 100% McBride.
Yeah,
is he more likely to play 0 minutes today or break the slate? I'm going with 0 minutes.
0 minutes closer.
And then we've got in the YouTube chat, Ship Happens saying, my money is on Eric Lindquist. You've been in the streets. Listen, Eric has lived in nothing but suburban areas full of exotic people. This could not be further from the truth. He is.
Oh my God.
There's no way.
Cringe, dude. So cringe.
There's
and that's
no
coming from me, cringe. So you know it's cringe.
When Eric went to college, he was like, whoa, I didn't even know people like that existed. There's no chance. Eric from the streets. Like the biggest adversity Eric faced in his life growing up was that him and his brother had to share a car when they drove to school. And they were outraged by it. They're like, you can't believe it. The people down the street, they have one car for each kid. Me and my brother, we have to share a car. This is a travesty unlike anything anybody's ever seen. He's not a man from the streets. Eric, what kind of street cred do you believe you have?
I don't know. I had a wooden van. That was my first car. It barely started. It's like a wooden SUV thingy that did not start from time to time. It's like from the 80s. So I'm going to say not true. And you should apologize to me after the show.
All right. So Eric is now lying about his age. That was a car from the 60s and maybe even older. I might be talking about the Flintstone mobile with the, it's made of the rocks and they had to push it with his leg. Eric's old, very, very old.
Coming up, I was confused. My mama kissing a girl. Confusion occurs coming up in the cold world. Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies. Favorite rapper used to say, check out my melody. I want to live good. So shit to sell dope for finger ring. See, I'm part of the
line is moving more and more in my favor.
Okay, never mind.
More and more in my favor. The money is coming in. Line movement is happening. And listen, guys, we're at lock. If you haven't done yet, do us a big favor. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to Better for sponsoring the show. And don't forget, if you guys want to sign up at OddsShopper and hang out with Eric and I even more, there's a link for that below. Use the promo code Lindy, Lindy, and that's going to get you 20% off when you sign up to OddsShopper. Get bets from us and also get access to the Plus TV betting model that we use to place a lot of our bets. Guys, good luck tonight with all your lineups. Peace out. We'll see you back here tomorrow for our natural regular slate.